Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Great to be back. Great to see you. Back again after a short break yesterday. Let me get set up and I'll come talk to you about what has been going on. Hey, good to see you. Hey, everyone out there. We're back again with the squeaky chair once again. Uh, Great to see you all. We are now in sort of day three-ish. The first day was sort of a half day, and then the last two have been a full day for this deliberation for the Erin Patterson trial. So it's been sort of 2.5 days, but technically it's day three. But no news out of the trial today. I don't have anything to report to you about that. It's been sort of like a no news situation. It's just nothing, very quiet, crickets, and I expect that to continue until we get told there's a verdict forthcoming. So when that moment happens, you'll know when I know, and you'll hear it on this channel. But I wanted to at least come and hang out for a little bit and give you that small update that so far it's been extremely quiet after what was it, 10 weeks and 40 days of trial time, where there was a lot of information coming and going every day between the court and the media and us and other people and talking to these people and getting updates from here and there and reporting on the channel. It's been the quietest it's been since the 29th of April, many weeks ago. So it's been nice. I've been um yesterday I just had a down day. I wanted to sort of take this moment during this sort of down period and just hang out, not do a lot, sort of decompress after an extremely stressful like couple of months. So if you're wondering where I was yesterday, I just decided to have a day off, a very rare day off. Hey Mo, new from the docket. Hey, thank you to Eric. Say thank you to Eric for me if you see him. Uh, good buddy of mine. Known Eric for years now. So thank you to Eric. I appreciate it. Nice to meet you, by the way, Mo. Musical Neptunian says Molly Meldrum countdown. That's right. That's right. Hey Francesca, Carolina's here. Webby's here. Hey Webby, good to see you. JDR says it's not over yet. It is not over yet. We are in the ninth. We're in the ninth innings right now. Um, you heard the area compared to the Southern Highlands in New South Wales. Sounds lovely. It's um It's a very pretty area. It's got a lot of mountains, so there's when you're in town, it's sort of surrounded by mountain range. So that's why they must call it the Latrobe Valley because it's in a valley. So there's a lot of mountain ranges that you can see from various points in town. Yeah, I guess like the Southern Highlands, sorta. It's sort of like you drive into Morwell and it's you leave the city, you're on a highway and you drive out into the country and it's actually pretty flat. And then as you come into sort of Moe and then Morwell, it starts to get more into this valley type area where you start seeing more of the mountain ranges and elevation. But yeah, it's very pretty. When I was there, like staying overnight there, early in the morning, every morning, fog would settle in the Latrobe Valley, and it would be like pea soup fog every morning. You couldn't see literally your hand in front of your face. It was so thick, and it was weird. In the mornings, it would sort of the breeze would blow it out away from the town for like an hour or so, and then it would come back again and then it would stay for another couple of hours and then dissipate. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let's see. Hey, BC, how are you? Texas is here. Woman of Steel. I got no idea. I would guess most likely because they're being sequestered that the court would have to look after them. I mean, I would assume I have no information to give you about it, but I would just assume that yeah, they would have to feed them. I mean, if they're going to house them for being sequestered, that they would have to feed these people too, because um, you can't have them walking all over town buying food and running the chance that someone would remember them or notice them, or maybe they were people that sat in the gallery and then would want to go up and talk to them. I don't think the risk would be worth it to the court. So, um, Carolina says, I guarantee the weather here in South Carolina is better than there right now. You would be right. It is bucketing down with rain in Melbourne tonight. It is just raining. It is icy cold. It is Melbourne winter maximum tonight. It is freezing out there. So I was out there. I just got back from the hospital only like an hour or so ago, and I was out there, and it was cold as hell out there. It's freezing, and it's just raining too. You're getting dumped a bunch of water on you. It wasn't the best day to be tramping all over Melbourne. So no, so they only got sequestered on Monday. So when those two jurors were balloted off to reach the number of 12 that is needed for the deliberations, then they were sequestered. So they were sequestered after that formal process took place. Then they were sent off to deliberate. So sometime around the afternoon on Monday that all took place. Zen said, "When is your wife coming home?" So some updates about that before we get started into the charge for Monday. Um, she was supposed to be back on Monday, so we were running around getting stuff done, fixing things, installing new stuff for her mobility, and things like that. And unfortunately, she's she's contracted an infection in hospital, and th- it's not a very nice infection, unfortunately. So she is going to be there for another week while they deal with this and try get it to go away. So unfortunately, it's now been delayed until next week sometime. We don't even have a day anymore, so they won't even tell us a day. So supposed to be Monday, and now it's been delayed until some point. No, it's not, but um, luckily it's not like in the surgical, like it is in the surgical area, but it's not where they did the surgery on the inside. Thank God. They did a CAT scan to make sure that it wasn't in the like surgical areas where they did the cuts and things like that on the inside. It's not, thank God, because that would mean they'd have to open her up again and then restart the process for the third time. So luckily, it doesn't seem to be that way, and it's just some sort of infection in the cut. So she's got like where they did the incision, she's got an infection. So hopefully they get it cleared up, and then she can come home next week. That would be great. But she's been having some problems in hospital too. The hospital keep telling her, so each day they go around and offer, like they say, what do you want? Um, like, what do you want to eat for lunch and dinner? And they sort of give her these options, but they don't tell her anything about the options. So I'll give you an example. They said tonight, do you want to have vegetable lasagna? And she had that last week and she really liked it. So she said, yeah, yeah, I'll get that. But when it came tonight, it was made out of lentils, and she can't have lentils right now because it's a high fiber product, so she can't have that with the surgery she had. But the problem we're having is the people from the kitchen won't tell her, like, what's in the food. So they just tell her, like, what it is, like, "Oh, it's a vegetable lasagna," even though they could have said it's a lentil lasagna, but they just don't give her any details of, like, what the food's made out of. They just sort of say, "Oh, it's chicken and rice," but won't say if it has a sauce or spices in it or whatever, and it's been frustrating because if she misses a meal, then it doesn't help that she's malnourished. So she's malnourished right now, and they're trying to get her nutrition up. But if she doesn't eat one of the meals every day, that sets her back by 24 hours. And for a woman that they're trying to get to go home, this type of small details really matter. And I don't know. So tonight I have to actually go and buy her dinner from the cafeteria because the dinner they gave her she couldn't eat. And I was like, "Well, I don't want you to skip a meal because it's really important that you eat all your food." So I went downstairs and I was able to get her some so they had salmon, like cooked salmon, and I was able to get some vegetables and gravy and potato, and I brought that up to her in her room and was able to get us some dinner. So, but we can't do that every night because the cafeteria is quite expensive. So it's not like we could do that every single day because it would end up costing like hundreds of dollars every week. And while I would do that if I had to, the hospital should be doing a better job at making sure she's getting the food that she needs to recover. So we've put in a complaint to the dietitian and the nursing team to find out like why can't you just print out a thing? It doesn't even have to be detailed. Like just say what the thing is made out of. You don't have to give us every detail in grams and stuff and nutritional details. Just tell us what it is. So if it's chicken, tell us that it's chicken, rice, vegetables, and a sauce. What type of sauce? Is it spicy? Is it not? Is it made with whatever it is? Like, it doesn't have to be detailed, just basic details about the food so that she can choose the right food to eat. It doesn't sound very difficult. Like, they could print something out. They don't even have to talk to her about it. They can just show her the paper and say, "This is your option for today." Uh, it, it, it anyway, it's frustrating. Cherry says, "Can you bring food from home?" So we have been bringing bits and pieces from home uh, what we can because she doesn't have a fridge, so we can't store a lot of things at the hospital. So we bring what we can every day, but we can't bring like big meals because we live so far away from the hospital. By the time we got there, it'd be cold. They don't have a microwave to heat things up. Um, yeah, so oh yeah, yeah. Zen said, "Good Lord, medical staff can be so stupid sometimes." I don't think it's the nurses. They do a pretty good job. It's the kitchen people. They just don't care. They're just like, "Oh, it's whatever." Like today, she asked the kitchen person, like, "What's in this?" And their answer was literally, "I don't know." What do you mean you don't know? Isn't your whole job to know? Like, some of these patients have dietary needs, and it's your job to sort of know so that they can make an informed decision. Anyway, apparently this lady every day when Mrs. Ping asks about like what's in this food, their answer is I don't know, like every single day, and like that's really frustrating. So that's what we've been doing. That we've been making soup and taking that in, but she needs more like heavy proteins and carbohydrates and things like that. But we have been taking things like chicken stock soup, sort of like some stew type things to try and help out here and there where we can. Webby says they have menus here at the hospitals. This is nuts that they don't say what it is, all the ingredients. I know. It seems like a very simple thing. It's like you must order these ingredients in advance to cook the meals, right? So you must have a menu that you cook from every day. So why can't you show that to the patient to let them decide? It's bizarre. Anyway, we put in a complaint. We'll see what happens. The food should be managed like meds. It is sort of, but not well enough. JDR said they don't have a microwave. Maybe you could ask the administrator why. Yeah, they don't have a microwave for the patients to use. They have sort of like a little kitchen area, but it only has a tiny little fridge, which you can't take up all of it. It's like a little hotel type fridge, and that's for everyone to use, like the entire floor. And they have a coffee maker and and an ice machine, but that's about it. So yeah, it is bizarre, right? It is bizarre. I agree. Hospital and airline food suck. Actually, Mrs. Pinger said the hospital food, when it's good, is good. It's although they have a tendency to overcook the meat. Apparently, she says microwave is a source of cross contamination. Maybe that's why they don't have one. Could be why. But I appreciate you all asking and offering ideas. I appreciate it. But yeah, we have been bringing some food in every day for her. So JDR said they don't think about family. They don't think about people whose families live far away. They don't. No, I know. I know. It's been crazy. All right. Shall we talk about some of the trial instead of talking about my personal issues? All right. Why is that not working? All right. So some people have wanted me to talk about this specific topic from the directions that they heard it in other media and they asked if I could give you more detail, and I said, yeah, I can do that. So, and the topic that they wanted to hear about was where the judge in his charge talks about Erin Patterson and her lies. So I want to go over that section with you. So he says here, hold on. Here, if you find that the accused lied about something, you can use that fact to help you decide whether or not you believe the other thing the accused has said. Whether those things she said to the witnesses in this case or to you in her testimony, that is not to say that just because you find that she lied about one matter, you must also find that she had been lying about everything else. But you can use the fact that she lied to you to help determine the truthfulness of other things that she has said. It is one factor for you to take into account. It is for you to decide what significance to give those alleged lies if you find them to be lies. And Justice Beale continues to tell the jury, but I give you this warning. Do not reason that just because a person is shown to have told a lie about something that she must be guilty. Evidence that she told these lies is not evidence of guilt. These alleged lies are only relevant, if at all, in assessing her credibility. And he says, a further direction in relation to this matter, in this trial, the prosecution alleged that Erin Patterson told a number of lies which the prosecution does not rely on as incriminating conduct. Justice Beale says, I must direct you as a matter of law that there are all sorts of reasons why a person might behave in a way that makes it look like she has committed an offense. Even if you think that Erin Patterson lied in the way that the prosecution alleges, you must not use those lies to conclude she is guilty of the charged offenses. It is up to you to decide whether Erin Patterson deliberately lied. There is a difference between rejecting a person's statements and finding that they deliberately lied. Sometimes people make mistakes or get confused or genuinely cannot remember a fact. And he says, or that they say, or what they say may be wrong, it is not a lie. He says that is that you must decide whether any of her statements were untrue and whether she knew they were untrue at the time they were made. So there you go. There's his rundown on lies and how the jury, what his instructions to the juries were about Erin Patterson and lies. And here, I'll read another bit for you. So he talks about circumstantial evidence and inferences. And he says, some evidence may prove a fact directly. For example, if a witness said they saw or heard it raining outside, that would be direct evidence of the fact it was raining. Other evidence can prove a fact indirectly. For example, if a witness said that he saw someone enter the courthouse wearing a raincoat and carrying an umbrella, both dripping wet, that would be indirect or circumstantial evidence of the fact it was raining outside. You could conclude from the witness's evidence that it was raining, even though the witness did not actually see or hear the rain. As far as the law is concerned, it makes no difference whether the evidence is direct or indirect. Although people often believe that indirect or circumstantial evidence is weaker than direct evidence, that is not true. It can be just as strong or even stronger. What matters is how strong or weak the particular evidence is, not whether it is direct or indirect. Justice Beale continues and says, however, you must take care when drawing conclusions from indirect evidence. You should consider all of the evidence in the case and only draw reasonable conclusions based on the evidence that you accept. Do not guess. While we might be willing to act on the basis of guesses in our daily lives, it is not safe to do so in a criminal trial. Now, in determining whether a conclusion is reasonable, you should look at all the evidence together. He says it may help you to consider the pieces of the evidence to be like the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. While one piece may not be very helpful by itself, when all pieces are put together, the picture may become clear. However, when putting all the pieces together, you must take care not to jump to conclusions. It is sometimes easy for people to be too readily persuaded of a fact on the basis of insufficient evidence, or evidence that turns out to be truly coincidental. Once convinced of that fact, they may then seek the support of others. M- sorry. Once convinced of that fact, they may then seek support of that in other evidence, perhaps distorting that evidence to fit their theory or disregarding inconvenient facts. You must make sure that you do not do this. You must keep an open mind and be prepared to change your views. Um, there you go. And he says here, you may only convict the accused of an offense if you are satisfied that her guilt of that offense is the only reasonable conclusion to be drawn from the whole of the evidence, both direct and indirect. If there is another reasonable view of the facts that is consistent with the accused innocence, then the prosecution will not have proved her guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, and you must acquit her. And hold on. Yeah, so there you go. There's Justice Beale in his charge to the jury talking about how some of the evidence, how the jury can look at certain things. Justice Beale says here, I want to emphasize again that under our justice system, people are presumed to be innocent unless they are proved guilty. It is absolutely fundamental. So before you return a verdict of guilty, the prosecution must satisfy you that the accused is guilty of the charges in question. Erin Patterson does not have to prove anything. The prosecution must do this by proving the accused's guilt of the charges beyond reasonable doubt. He continues and says, as I have told you, these words mean exactly what they say. Proof beyond reasonable doubt, which is the highest standard of proof that our law demands. It is not enough for the prosecution to prove that the accused is probably guilty or likely to be guilty. As I have told you, it's almost impossible to prove anything with absolute certainty when reconstructing past events, and the prosecution does not have to do so. A reasonable doubt is not an imaginary or fanciful doubt or unrealistic possibility. You cannot be satisfied that the accused is guilty of an offense if you have a reasonable doubt whether she is guilty of the offense. He says they have to prove their case beyond reasonable doubt, but they do not have to prove every fact that they allege to this standard. It is the essential ingredients or elements of the charges that they must prove beyond reasonable doubt. And he says, I will explain these elements later. But first, he says, I have to give you a direction regarding motive. He says, for some murders, there may be evidence of motive, but some murders occur for no apparent reason. The motive for such murders may only ever be known to the offenders. In this case, the prosecution concede there is no evidence of a motive for the accused to have murdered or attempted to murder her lunch guests. The defense argues that not only is there no evidence of a motive to kill, there is evidence that the accused had good reasons not to kill her lunch guests. In other words, the defense argued that there is evidence of a motive not to kill. He says, in summary, the defense argues that the accused lunch guests were her relatives by marriage, they were all good people, and over the years she had a positive relationship with each of them, particularly Don and Gail. As for her tensions in her relationship with Don and Gail Patterson over her seeking child support from Simon, those tensions were relatively short lived, and the issue was resolved many months before the lunch. Moreover, Don and Gail loved her children, and her children loved them. Why would she want to deprive her children, whom she whom she loved, of their only grandparents? Finally, the defense argues that the accused was in a good place in July of 2023. She had a beautiful new home for her and her children. She was financially secure, and she and her children had a bright future. Why would she risk throwing that all away? The prosecution argues, in summary, that the accused's relationship with Simon and with his parents in the lead up to the fatal lunch was not as harmonious as the defense suggests. The prosecution points to evidence of Katrina Cripps that on the 1st of August 2023, Erin Patterson told her that Simon had become nasty towards her since she claimed child support in late of 2022, and second, that her relationship with his parents had changed recently and she felt isolated from them. So there you go. They saying, and he says here that the prosecution also points to the evidence of Erin's son that the relationship between his mum and dad had recently been very negative. He says, I give you this direction. The prosecution does not have to prove motive in order to prove its case. It is the elements of murder and attempted murder that the prosecution must prove and nothing else. But that does not mean that the absence of the evidence of a motive to kill is irrelevant. It is a relevant consideration which you must take into account in the accused's favor when weighing all the evidence in this case and deciding whether the prosecution have satisfied you beyond reasonable doubt that she committed the alleged offenses. Moreover, if you find the accused had good reasons not to kill or attempt to kill her lunch guests, in short, that she had a motive not to commit the alleged offenses, that is a significant consideration to which you must have regard in deciding whether the prosecution have satisfied you beyond reasonable doubt that she committed the alleged offenses. So there you go. That's what Justice Beale had to say in his final day with uh his final address, or to the jury, his charge to the jury. So there you go. I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into what people were sort of asking about. I had a couple people wanting to know about those particular bits from the charge as they were reported by the ABC and some other media, but they didn't go into depth on it. I've given it to you as as deep as I can give it to you. That sounds dirty, but I don't mean it like that. Carolina says, when did deliberations begin? So, Monday, Australian time in the afternoon. So, it is sort of day 3 today. So, day 3 has ended. Tomorrow will be day 4. So, there you go. So, we'll be in day 4 of deliberations tomorrow. Hold on, someone is messaging me. My creaky chair, I swear. Oh, do you guys what before I get into the next bit, do you want to hear something? So this morning, my the company I bought the new chair from, they sent me an email and an SMS saying, congratulations, your chair has arrived. Come and pick it up from our uh, you know, the 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 warehouse. Come and pick it up. And then I was like, "Oh, great. I'm so happy you can get rid of this one." They rang me an hour after that and told me that that was a mistake and that my chair has not arrived and that it won't arrive till the end of July. I was like, how do you get this so wrong? How do you send out a message, an email and an SMS to the client and get it so badly wrong that you have to ring them and then tell them that their item has not arrived? So I can't say I'm very happy with this company. I ordered it. I ordered it 2 weeks ago, and they still haven't got it. And they're saying it could be another 3 to 4 weeks on top. So it's crazy, just to buy a computer chair. It's nothing fancy. I just bought it off the shelf. Like, they told me I could have it in like 1 week, and it's going to turn into multiple weeks. No, it's not Temu. It's just a local furniture company in Melbourne. Like, it's a national company. Like, they're in every state in Australia. They have hundreds of stores that you can go to. Crazy, crazy to me. Let me check something. Yeah, crazy squeaky chair. By the way, I want to say thank you to Sean. Thank you so much. I saw that come in an hour ago, something like that. I want to say thank you to my friend Betty C. Thank you so much. You do not have to apologize, my friend, at all. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. And my friend JDR, thank you to all three of you. You are more than kind, and I appreciate it very, very much. The people who support this channel are brilliant. There's no way we'd have this type of in-depth detail from the trial without those people, because it's been almost like 2.5 months of trial time that I've had to basically devote every day of my life for it. It's not like I just like get the cliff notes at the end of every day and just read it to you. No, I sit through 7 hours of court every day, plus travel time, then come home, write all my notes for the show, do the show, and then had to do it all over again. And I did that for 10 weeks in a row every day. So those people made that possible. So I appreciate it. I know, I just read it out. Thank you very much. I just read it out and explained why it was so helpful. But I appreciate it, my friend. Julia said it's a great channel. Thank you. I appreciate that. Work very hard on this channel. Woman of Steel says, "Can you get a refund and go somewhere else?" I really like the chair. I don't. I looked at some others and I don't like them. I really like the one I bought, so I'm gonna have to just wait and mm, keep waiting. So I really like the one I purchased. So all right. Let me take you to some other things here. All right. Let me see if I got another bit for you here. There was another topic people are asking me about to see if I've got it in these notes or I have to go to a different one. Hmm. Maybe I don't have it in this one. We did that about the guilt. All right. All right. Here. So he gives a definition for the term deliberate. And this is what he says. He says the term deliberate excludes accidental acts, and he says he wants to concentrate on the importance of that word deliberate, because that is what is in dispute here, is whether she deliberately served up a meal poisoned with death cap mushrooms. In other words, it is disputed that she knew or believed that the beef Wellingtons contained death cap mushrooms. It is the defense's case that she accidentally served up the poisoned beef Wellingtons. It is the defense case that she did not do it deliberately. So, in relation to murder, and he says it's an element that the jury has to find, and then he says, so they talk about intention, and he says, which relates to the accused's state of mind. The prosecution must prove beyond reasonable doubt that at the time the accused served up the poisonous beef Wellingtons to her lunch guests, she intended to kill them or cause them really serious injury. And when he says really, really serious injury, he says this is not a technical legal phrase. These are ordinary English words. And he says to the jury, it is for you to determine what this phrase means to you as jurors. And he says, it is in dispute that she intended to kill or cause really serious injury to Heather, Gale, and Don when she served up the beef Wellingtons. The prosecution contends that you should infer from the evidence that Erin Patterson had the appropriate state of mind at the relevant time. A person's intention at the time she commits an alleged offense may be inferred from what she said and did, and also what she failed to say and do. You should look at all of Erin Patterson's proven actions before, at the time of, and after the alleged offense. All of these things may help you to determine what Erin Patterson's intention was when she served up the meals which caused the deaths of 3 of her lunch guests. And he says, you will remember what I told you about inferences. He says, in this context, those directions mean that you can only infer that Erin Patterson intended to kill Heather Wilkinson, Gail, and Don Patterson, or cause them really serious injury if you are satisfied beyond reasonable doubt that it is the only inference open from the facts that you have found. If any evidence causes you to have reservations about drawing such an inference, the benefit of your doubt should go to the accused. So he's saying here again, if any of this doesn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt, that you must go with the defense and find her not guilty. That's what he's saying there. If you can't be, you know, the evidence doesn't take you there, then that that's what has to happen. He makes it very, very clear. Let's see. All right. Okay. Let me see if I have anything else on this that I can give to you. All right. He says here, now you will recall Dr. Warillo's evidence that Ian Wilkinson came very close to dying. It is not in dispute that Erin Patterson's conduct in serving Ian Wilkinson a meal with death cap mushrooms was more than preparatory and immediately and not remotely connected to killing him. And he says here, so they don't have to look at that for Ian Wilkinson. They're saying here, intention, we already covered that. So he says here that he wants to talk about Erin Patterson and her toilet pan at the hospital. And I'll read you this. He says, okay. He says, in the context of discussing the evidence and arguments about the accused allegedly lying about being unwell and allegedly faking death cap mushroom poisoning, Justice Beale refers to the PCR test in relation to the samples of the accused bowel movements collected by Nurse Sespin at the Leongatha Hospital. He said there was a problem with an argument made by the prosecution in relation to that PCR test results, and he says he wants to come back to it now. And he says what the prosecution argued was this, and I think this is a quote. What the accused produced in the toilet pan and was labeled as a fecal specimen was subjected to what they call a PCR test. No viral or bacterial pathogens were detected in that PCR test. And he says, and they say here, that of course does not tell us about whether or not it was a stool or poo or not. But ultimately, the prosecution says that whatever these toilet outputs were, and even if you conclude that they could have been stool, they were not caused by eating death cap mushrooms. He says, now if you took that argument to mean that a PCR test would have detected amatoxins, if the accused had actually been suffering from death cap mushroom poisoning, he says you must disregard that argument. There is no evidence that PCR tests can detect amatoxins. And he said here, on the contrary, Professor Bernstein told you that the PCR test referred to here, and he says it doesn't look for everything, but I think this one may have looked for 15 different pathogens, which would be the common pathogens for infective gastroenteritis. So he's saying that that PCR test that they're talking about only looks for the most common 15 pathogens for infective gastroenteritis. So it doesn't look for death cap mushroom poisoning or amatoxins, which are the toxin inside death cap mushrooms. So I hope that clears things up about that PCR test that they talked about. So Wendy R says, thanks for all the time you spent to bring us this case. You are welcome. You are welcome. I do it for you guys. I mean, some for me too, because I wanted to follow the case, but I woke up every morning, 5 a.m., got out of bed, trudged all the way to the courthouse or whatever for, many weeks and months. But I did it because I wanted to do the best I could to bring the best I could to my channel for you all to watch. So that was my main motivation, was to do something that no one else was really doing. I've listened to some of the other podcasts, and while they give you some detail, they don't go into the detail that I give you. Some of them are only like 20 minutes. I give you like 2 or more hours of content. I think we did 75 hours uh of content during the trial. 75 hours. I don't think anyone came close to doing that in their podcast or whatever. I don't think anyone was even on the same spectrum. So there you go. Squeaky chair and all. Squeaky chair and all. I think that's it. I think that's all I have from the very last bit before the jury was balloted off and then sequestered to find and hopefully find a verdict. I think that was that last little bit that everyone we were delayed on it for a few days, unfortunately. That had nothing to do with me. It's just sort of how things go sometimes with certain, things that I can't explain to you. I just tell you that, the only thing I can tell you is the word delay. So sometimes things get delayed. And this one got delayed, and that's why you're hearing it tonight. So, but I hope that sort of clarifies some things and gives you an inside look into what happened just before that jury went off to deliberate, a few days ago. So, Carolina said, absolutely. I think they are often getting their info from you. Yeah, that's very unfortunate. I have several reports. I get several emails every day from people saying that people are stealing my content, and there's not much I can do about it. All I can tell you is that they weren't there. They don't understand the context that these things were read about or talked about in court. Once we get a verdict, I'll be able to explain a lot more about that and what that, means and how things were said and this and that. I'll be able to do more of that. They will never be able to do that because they weren't there. They have no idea. They weren't at court. They didn't watch it. They don't know what was going on. I watched every minute of this court case, every minute, every second, every minute for the entirety of the 10 weeks. So you guys will get a much better inside look from this channel, especially when we get hopefully a verdict. You'll get a much better look because we're sort of restricted in what we can say right now. Even during the jury deliberation process, we are still under the contempt of court laws. It's only when a verdict is read out in court that we become released from that contempt of court sub judice thing. So it's only at that point that we can start talking a little more freely, and we will do that. I don't know. I am not sure. I didn't. Well, we know in this particular trial that that did not happen. They only called one person, and that was Erin Patterson. So I'm not sure. I know you see it a lot in American trials, where you see the defense call like their own expert witnesses, might be like a psychologist or something like that. But I'm not sure about Australian ones. Didn't happen in this one. Webby says, "Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you." Francesca said, "You are the only YouTuber attending court." Yeah, I was told that. I was told that from the Supreme Court that there was no other YouTuber that they gave the access to that I got. There was no one else. So there was other media that got that access, but not a YouTuber. I was the only one they allowed in. So Julia says, also, if it's a hung jury, does a retrial happen? That's up to the DPP. So that's the Department of Public Prosecution. That is their decision. Oftentimes, they'll seek, like, they want to review the reasons or whatever, and it takes some time. But yes, they could. If there is a hung jury, they could try again. That has happened in several famous Australian cases. Jared Hayne is one where he had multiple trials. There's been The swim teacher who was done, I think he had 3 trials. There's been a few that have had multiple trials. Kelly Lane had a couple of trials on her one. There's been a few that have had multiple, but it's up to the DPP. That is their sort of area, and they will decide if that is the case, to try again. You are welcome. Thank you for all your help, my friend. Texas said, are some of the others that are repeating your info under the same contempt laws? Yes, anyone. It's anyone. It doesn't, so it doesn't mean it's only for the people who attend the court or are court reporters like Ping. So I'm considered a court reporter because I'm reporting from the courtroom. It's for everyone. It's for, TikTok people. It's for people on Twitter. It's for people on the radio. It's for other YouTubers, people on Snapchat or something. It's everyone. Everyone has to abide by the same law. Doesn't matter how you come across the information. If you are broadcasting it to people, so that's the thing. Broadcasting is the word. So if you are talking to viewers in some way, that could be a post. You could post on Facebook or something. If you have a YouTube channel, if you are a short form content person on TikTok, it's all the same as far as the law is concerned. So yeah, the only thing that is a difference between what I do and what they do is that I can get myself into a whole heap more trouble than they can because the stuff I hear in court is uncensored and hasn't had any laws applied to it. So I have to filter my own like notes and things, as where they don't. A lot of these other people don't have to do that because they're just taking the information from me, from other media, from whoever, and that it's already been done. So they don't have to do it because we've done it. So that's the only thing is that we have to be way more careful, is because we could really say some very stupid things and get into some very serious legal trouble. So, but again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who says it or how they get the info. It just matters that you follow the sub judice contempt, contempt of court type laws. So, hope that makes it a little clearer, even though I said it in a bit of a roundabout way. But yeah, it doesn't matter how you get it. Is if you're talking about it to other people, to viewers, if you're posting about it to people who will read it, those laws apply to you. So you could be on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, whatever. It doesn't matter. The law sees it all the same. It's all the same, no matter who it is. So there you go. Supreme Court backs it up. They do. All right. Do we? So I thought what we'd do is, if we get a verdict, because we don't know if we will, if we get a verdict, right now all options are equal, which is guilty, not guilty, hung jury. They are all the same, all equal. None of them have a more likely than something else. They're just all the same. If we get a verdict, I thought what I'd do is I'll give you the verdict and then I'll open up for a Q&A. So the first thing we'll do out of the trial is I'll run a Q&A live stream. And you guys can ask me a lot of the questions that you've been holding on to for many weeks and throughout the trial. You'll finally be able to ask me that. So we'll do a special Q&A type live stream as soon as, if we get a verdict. So there you go. Hey Marilyn Landis, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you guys. All right, I think we're going to wrap up. I'm sorry it's a bit short. That's just sort of how it is right now. We're sort of just in this land of limbo right now. By the way, Carla, I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so much for the donation. It really helps out. It really does. Hey, Julia. It is exciting, I guess. Emily says, "Hey, everyone, about to go into work. Have a good day at work, Miss Emily. Have a good day at work." Um, that'll yeah. So I will keep popping on throughout the deliberation process. I may even come on at midnight Eastern and do some like normal late show um, over the next little while, because that's probably what we're going to go back to once the trial has finished. Like I said, I am looking up more trials to go to for 2025. I just haven't found anything I really like as of yet, but I'll find something. There'll be something coming up. I know we have a couple of hearings coming up. One in July, July this month? I think it's this month. And then we have one coming up in September, and that is for Isla Bell. So I would like to go to that one. They're just hearings. They're not a trial, but I would like to go to them. So we could do that, and then we'll see. We'll see what other trials pop up on the docket, and we'll go to another trial for 2025. Hopefully, it won't be 10 weeks again. Hopefully, it won't be quite that long. But yeah. By the way, I want to thank my friend Eric. Thank you so much for recommending my channel. I appreciate it, buddy. It's good to see you wherever you are out there today, Mr. Eric. And thanks for sending some of your people over here to hang out. I do appreciate your help. And yeah, thanks for your friendship. I appreciate it. All right. Sean said murder and manslaughter both carry 25 years max. Yeah, so the way the law sees it is basically the same. Um, yeah, the way the law sees it and the penalties applied to it are very, very similar. And I think that's the same case in America too, where attempted murder and murder carry very similar sentences. So I don't think it's unique to Australia. Yes, so a third person was arrested in the Phoebe Bishop case. There was a third person was arrested for interfering with an investigation, and the way they did that is they used Phoebe's phone to try and throw off investigators. So he was arrested for I think it's accessory during the fact. He was arrested as an accessory to the crime, and that's how he did it. It was by using Phoebe's phone to try and make investigators look in a different direction. So there's also a big case out of Australia over the last couple of days. I may do more on it tomorrow if we do a sort of a late show in the afternoon. But it is this one. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but there was this big press conference in Melbourne. I think it was Monday, and it's about this guy, Joshua Dale Brown. And I'll tell you more about Joshua Dale Brown tomorrow. But I have never seen the Premier of Victoria. So that's like our governor. If you're in if you're in if you're in America, but our Premier of Victoria was at a criminal press conference with Victoria Police about this guy. One of the craziest stories. And unfortunately, they've had to set up a health hotline for over 2,000 children at daycare centers because they may have an infectious disease from this guy. And there is a lot of offending that goes with this, unfortunately. So maybe tomorrow I'll show you the press conference from Victoria Police, and I'll discuss more about Joshua Dale Brown. Yeah, it's awful, but yeah, I have never ever seen our premier at a criminal press conference in my life. I don't think it happens that often. Normally, it's just normally normally it's just Victoria Police. They just do it with their sort of hierarchy. But to have our premier there, it's a big deal. So yeah, it is not very nice. Not very nice. All right, I think that's about it. I think I'm gonna go for the night. I hope you enjoyed me popping in and saying hello. Trying to, you know, catch up with you all. I appreciate it. Why is this? There we go. I want to say thank you again to these people. Thank you to Nick, by the way, too, for her membership donation. I appreciate that, Nick. Hope you're still out there, my friend. To Sean, my friend Betty C, JDR, and my friend Carla. Thank you to the four of you. I appreciate the five of you. I appreciate all of you very, very much. And I don't know what will tomorrow bring. Tomorrow for Australians is Thursday. What will that bring in this trial? I have no idea. I have no inside knowledge. It is a secret process, and only the jury know what's going on. They're the only ones. So Julia said we enjoyed it. Otherwise, there's zero info. That is true. Um, I'll be back tomorrow to talk to you some more. I may be on for a late show tomorrow after web sleuths get done. Look for a live show from me tomorrow. Okay, so we'll do a midnight Eastern live show tomorrow. Because otherwise, I'm just sitting here not doing a whole lot. We got no court to go to. I'm sort of just like after doing so much every day for the last like almost 3 months, I'm sort of sitting here going, what do I do now? I'm so used to being so busy now. I'm like, sort of feel weird for sitting here all day. I'm like, where do I go? What do I do? How, what court do I go to? So with it's feels a bit weird to have so much time off. So, but I'm enjoying the downtime as well. All right. I love you all. Yep. Let, let's see. Hopefully we do. Hopefully we get a verdict one way or the other soon. I don't think anyone wants a hung jury. Don't think anyone would like to do this again. All right. Good night, everyone. Have a good night out there. I hope I answered some of those questions that people had emailed in about that final piece of the judge's charge to the jury. Hope I read out the bits that people wanted more context about. And I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Sleep maybe? Maybe. One day, Jay. All right. Good night, everyone. Bye.